I could do that every Sunday and listen to that music. Let's give him another hand. Thank you. Talk about mellow. Wow, I don't know if I can even talk now. But good morning, and welcome to those of you who are here and to our worldwide online community, to Unity Spiritual Center Spokane, where we are all about transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in this world. I love that statement. No matter how many times I say it, I really love it. I love the word inspiring, positive, difference. It's wonderful. My name is Jeff Hunter, and I'll be your platform assistant this morning. And if everyone could take a moment and silence your cell phones, it would be very much appreciated. Thank you. As always, we want to begin our time together by sharing our opening affirmation. Let's say it together. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. This, as we know, is Unity's foundation principle. One presence, one power, one life living through and as each one of us. I'm excited this morning because our spiritual leader, Reverend Bonnie Barnard, is beginning her new series on inventors. I can hardly wait. Our music today is provided by Heather Vila and the Vila Jazz Band. And now, our song leaders will come up, Ken and Rick, and lead us in our community song, followed by the adorable chaplain, Diane Hunter, with our reading and opening prayer.
Good. Hello? Good morning. Can you hear me? Hello, all right. Hello. So this is a new community song for the month, so you got to pay attention, right? I feel spirit moving in me. 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 Love. I feel love moving in me. 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 Presence. I feel presence moving in me. 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 Power. I feel power moving in me. 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 Spirit. I feel spirit moving in me. I feel spirit moving in me. I feel spirit moving in me. I feel spirit moving in me.
Good morning. Today's reading is taken from a blog by Dr. John DeMartini. A genius is someone who no longer lives in conformity but enormity, and in a vision of what they want to create in this world. I used to present a program called Awakening Your Genius, in which I looked at the many common denominations of some of the most ingenious, polymathic individuals in history. What were their common threads? They pursued something that actually inspired them. They created original ideas that serve humanity, and they tended not to subordinate to outer authorities. I'm a firm believer that if you set your mind to doing something that is deeply meaningful to you, amazing doors of opportunity will keep opening if you persevere. You would be wise to stay with what truly inspires you long enough for that to happen. Perseverance is one of the keys to awakening your genius. You are likely to awaken your genius when you live by your highest value and pursue challenges that inspire you. There are so many people out there doing bungee jumps, walking on coals, and doing rope climbing, all of which are useful metaphors for courage. But these metaphors are totally insignificant compared to the courage it takes to just be your true genius and authentic self. So now let's take a moment to feel into our hearts and allow our energy to rest there. Give your breath attention for a moment and allow it to massage your inner body. Now please know with me, there is one presence and one life that goes by many different names. Today, I call God, God the Good. This divine presence only knows love. It doesn't know frustration, angst, division, or sadness, for it resonates with the is, the presence of love itself. In this moment, I simply drop any emotion or idea that stands in the way of my experience of God the Good and lean into its luscious, potent field and allow myself to be wrapped up in it. God is love. I am love. I am loved. I am the beloved. I am loving. From this knowing, I invite myself to sit in a receptive posture to hear the words of God's truth in the message given today. I open to experience a loving shift with the music. I allow myself to appreciate goodness from this community. I put down defensiveness, oppositional energy, and oppositional ideas to sit in the oneness of truth, knowing if I choose to, I can pick them up again when I walk out the door. I take this moment to give thanks I am alive, to give thanks for this community, to give thanks for the staff, minister, board, and everyone that has any way contributed to this moment. I allow myself to receive all the good I can handle and give all the good my being can give. Today is a good day. Today is a God day. I let it be. And so it is. Amen.
Take a look change the world. There's nothing to it. There's no life that I know to compare with your imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That was delightful. Oh, as we all knew it would be. That's Heather Vila and the Blues Band. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What a delight it is to be here today. Let's just take a moment and unzip our hearts just a little bit further and just allow ourselves to send love up to my direction, and I will bounce it back to you, and we will keep doing that throughout the service until we leave totally filled with the love of Spirit. So welcome to Unity Spiritual Center Spokane. Whether you're here seeking the truth, knowing the truth, or revealing the truth, you are welcome here. And whether you're here in person or whether you're here online, you're just as present. For we know that Spirit is bi and multi and all locational. And you can be wherever and still be connected with us. So what a great summer series, right? Yeah. So June we did musical artists. July, movies. We're looking at the creative imagination of the presence of God working through humanity. And today we're going to be starting a series on inventors, innovation, invention, that type of stuff. And I have a girlfriend who is a professor down at Corbin University and teaches literature. And she teaches a class called Finding God in the World. And she's going to use our talk on the movie Pinocchio in her classroom. So I just love to see how Spirit says, and we will use you here. No, we'll use you there. Wait a minute. Okay. So I'm going to begin by showing a clip that is an interview between Chris Como and Deepak Chopra. And I'm grateful to Julian, who knows how to do clips easily, because I just send him stuff and say, hey, grab this part. So thank you, Julian. How many of you here have experienced the teachings of Deepak Chopra? Okay, so you're going to see a really interesting Deepak in this interview. He comes from India, and he says there that their lives are divided into 4 quartiles. To 25-year segments. So the first 25 years of someone's life, they're getting to know who they are, feeling into their being. From 25 to 50, they're working, they have a job and a family. From 50 to 75, they're giving back. And then from 75 on, they're preparing for their eternal life with the Maker. That it is a sacred, holy, amazing, beautiful time. So when I see this clip that we're showing, I am seeing the clip of someone who has meditated. He's over 75 now, by the way. So we're seeing somebody who has been meditating now for 7 decades. Someone who has a witness consciousness and is speaking from the witness consciousness. And we're also seeing someone who realizes that we are here, each one of us is here to make a contribution on the planet for the seconds and minutes that we're here. We're just here for a short little touchdown. And he's aware of that, and he's talking about the state of the world right now in his observation, in his witness consciousness self. And what we know from the Bible is when we talk of the world, we know that we are not of the world, we are of Spirit itself. So that's just a little context before we go into this video.
Everything around us right now in America is expressed as a negative. everything's bad, everyone's angry, everything's tribal. And I wonder what effect that has on you and how you see that. Do you accept that on any level? Do you believe it's manufactured? I mean, you live in New York City. How do you process what's happening in America?
Actually, Chris, I process everything with one conviction now. And that conviction is Homo sapiens, the human species, is insane. Period. We are an insane species. I mean, which other species would create nuclear weapons, cyber warfare, mechanized death, extinction of species, climate change, social injustice, racial injustice, and irresponsible health, addictive behavior, and suicidal thinking? We're sleepwalking to extinction, and we have gangsters as our national leaders globally. I don't think there's any exception. Some are more gangster-like and some are more polite, but they're all gangsters. This is an insane world. And if you don't agree with that, then you're declaring your insanity as well. So I struggled against this for a long time, trying to think, can I identify one person in the world who's sane? And actually I did identify. There was people like Nelson Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. and, you know, that nice lady from New Zealand who's become the prime minister, but now she finds it too insane to be prime minister, etc. There's hardly anybody who's sane anymore. So what do? You just actually accept the insanity, and you accept the idea that the human species was a very interesting evolutionary experiment that did not work. And maybe, you know, if we sleepwalk to extinction through this insane behavior, maybe there'll be another species that will be more empathetic, compassionate, loving, graceful, aesthetic, and creative, and loving. I mean, the worst use of our imagination is what we've done to this world. You know, and yet we have the creativity to send probes into interstellar space. I'm reading this thing called Return to a Mirror Universe, which says there's maybe parallel universes going backwards in time. I think I would choose one of those right now.
That's a fairly dour assessment from a man who's known for lifting us all up.
Oh, but if you think the whole thing is a joke, then the only sane response to existence is to laugh.
Wow, right? So if we were a class right now, we would have a discussion for hours. I just think that that is such a meaty and juicy clip for a whole bunch of reasons. One of the things that I want to point out is he talked about the wrong use of the imagination. So one of the 12 powers in unity is imagination. We have been endowed with imagination, and imagination connects us with the field in order to grab and grasp and receive ideas. And we can use those for the well-being of humanity, or we can use those for the detriment of humanity, and we're the ones at choice. We're the choice point where that ends up making sense, where that happens. So I watched that with absolute delight because I saw it from the spiritual perspective of we're all at choice, we're all in this together, and we have different layers and levels of consciousness, and it seems like the lowest level of consciousness is playing its way out right now. And I think that's normal, and I think it's normal because our culture is shifting so dramatically and so quickly. And as I was preparing this talk, I was thinking about going to the grocery stores even 5 years ago, pre-pandemic, going to the grocery store, and there would be a beautiful, nice, kind checker who would check us out in line. Now, just in this short period of time, we don't have to go to the grocery store anymore. We can order it to our house. We can check ourselves out in line. The form is changing. At convention this year, at the Unity Convention, we were talking about institutions are falling apart. Just look how much they've changed. I think of my banking. It wasn't all that long ago I used to go deposit a check and wait in line with everyone else in town. Now, if I can find a bank, it's a rarity. because we have so many bank machines and do many things electronically that the form of banking has changed. And I think of going to school. It used to be when I was a kid, you had to go to school. You had to walk down to a building and go inside and have a teacher. Now you can have school at home. What a radical idea. And then on top of that, you can go online and you can learn from your computer and never even step into a classroom and get a degree. So our institutions are shifting and changing. And at the board level, we talk about this because this is true for churches as well. This is true for centers. We are changing. And the last couple days, I caught up on some of my magazine reading, and there was an article here on Weight Watchers. And it's called, How Many Points is a Shot of Wegovy? Maybe you guys know what Wegovy is. I had to read about it. But what Weight Watchers has done is they've watched all of their competition close and go away. You know, Jenny Craig is gone. What are all, I can't even remember them. I used to know them all by heart, right? I can't even remember what they are. But what happened? We had a, Noom came onto the scene, and they were app-based, and they were talking psychology, and they kind of cornered the market. And then the idea of a bunch of people going and sitting in a building once a week and getting weighed in and charting their food no longer is what we do as people. And so it doesn't fit anymore. So they've got this big, mammoth, gigantic institution who came to a crossroads and said, we have to change or we're going to be extinct just like everyone else. And so they came to a place where they decided that they were going to no longer charge $25 for a meeting. Instead, their model is they're going to charge $99 per month and have a clinician there to help with the dietary component, but they're also selling weight loss shots. And that became a big deal because part of the Weight Watcher company says, wait a minute, our whole brand is that we don't do drugs. And the other part is like, well, if we don't try something new, we're not going to be here at all. And so there is in our organizations, in our institutions, in our lives today, so much change and reforming and reconforming happening. And I personally think it's exciting. I'm looking forward to what the Spirit of God wants to emerge through us and what it wants to show us. But the only way it can do it is if we are awake enough in order to receive the messaging and to live it out. So today I want to share with you a couple rules of the field. Here's one of them. Rule number one of the field: information is available to everyone simultaneously. It is those tuned in and turned on that receive the information and can make that information useful and can make that information manifest. So Elizabeth Gilbert, in her book, Big Magic, says, and I love this, I believe that our planet is inhabited not only by animals and plants and bacteria and viruses, but also by ideas. Ideas are a disembodied, energetic life form. They are completely separate from us, but capable of interacting with us, albeit strangely. Ideas have no material body, but they do have consciousness, and they most certainly have will. Ideas are driven by a single impulse to be made manifest. And the only way an idea can be made manifest in our world is through collaboration with a human partner. So she goes on to say in her book that an example of this is she started getting dreams and downloads about the Amazon, the rainforest. She wanted to write a story about the Amazon. So then she did some research on it and saw in her research that there was an architecture firm who had done some kind of scammy thing and people lost money, and there was this big deal that happened in the Amazon, and she thought, oh my God, that would make the best story. So then she started researching everything about architecture, everything about the Amazon. I call it romancing her idea. The idea came disembodied, like she said, and she needed to grab onto it and dance with it in order to make it real. So she did that for 6 months. She had her little index cards. She had her whole thing laid out. She wrote a query letter to a publisher. They accepted it. She was going to write this book about the Amazon. And then her life took a change, and she needed to give her attention to something personally. So for 2 years, she abandoned this idea. And during that time, another author picked it up. And the two of them met each other at a conference. And her name's Ann Patchett. The two of them met each other at a conference. And Elizabeth liked Anne and said, "Tell me what you're writing about." And she said, "I'm writing a story about the Amazon." She goes, "Oh my God, I had one too. Let's talk about it." So they're sitting down for coffee, and Ann Patchett says, "You go first. Since your book was first, you tell me what your Amazon jungle novel was about, the one that got away." I tried to summarize my ex-novel as concisely as possible, and I said, it was about this middle-aged spinster from Minnesota who's been quietly in love with her married boss for many years. He gets involved in a harebrained business scheme down in the Amazon jungle. A bunch of money and a person go missing, and my character gets sent down there to solve things, at which point her quiet life is completely turned into chaos. Also, it's a love story. So then Ann Patchett says, "You have got to be kidding me. Why? What's your novel about?" She replied, "It's about a spinster from Minnesota who's been quietly in love with her married boss for many years. He gets involved with a harebrained business scheme down in the Amazon jungle. A bunch of money and a person go missing, and my character sent down there to solve things, at which point her quiet life is completely turned into chaos. Also, it's a love story." So she said, I could see firsthand that if I don't engage with that idea, someone else will. Now, we know that Mozart had entire symphonies downloaded from the field into his being. We also know that this happened with Michael Jackson. And there's some really good videos where he's describing his creative process. He had 5 songs downloaded at once. And he would capture different parts of them, and he would give them beat boxes as he wrote them down. And he had said that if he didn't grab that song out of the field, it would go to another musical artist because it's there and ripe and ready to be given birth. He says the lyrics, the strings, the chords, everything comes at the moment like a gift that is put right into my head, and that's how I hear it. And then how many of us saw the movie Oppenheimer? Okay, I saw it. Really good movie, really long movie, kind of slow, but we're seeing. So what you see in this movie is that all of academia, all around the world, are racing to create the first bomb. And the concern was if the United States didn't create the first one, then an opponent could have created the first one. So everybody knew it was in the field, it was ripe for picking, it was the time it was going to happen. The question was, who was it going to come through? And so what I am keenly aware of is for an idea to come through and be birthed, we have to have the capacity to hold it, or it's going somewhere else, okay? So I want to take a moment and talk about the observation of a genius. This is Bill Gates. Bill Gates was my neighbor. I grew up in Seattle, a couple blocks away from him. He was our paper boy. He was 6 years older than me, but he was around the neighborhood all the time. I played on the soccer team with his sister, and he was someone who had computer software, computer technology downloaded to him. But if you look at that time in history, it was happening in a lot of places. He was the first one to get it to market. If you noticed, there was Steve Jobs. There was other nerdly guys in their garages, building Radio Shack computers and trying to figure out how to make something that was substantial. This was in the field just waiting to be picked. What I observed about him, it was that he was preoccupied all the time with what he was about. It was as though he were in another world. He wasn't, walking down the street. He was paying attention to something in his mind. He wasn't paying attention to his surroundings. So I thought about this because when we talk about being present as a spiritual attribute, I think presence can maybe be several different things. In his case, he was being present to what was being birthed through him, not necessarily being present to what was in front of him, which I found interesting. Geniuses, from my observation, often talk to themselves and listen to themselves. My observation, geeky, different, separate, eccentric, and that social rules of behavior don't drive them. That's not what they're about. And then curiosity is their teacher. The quality of God embodied by a genius is the creative intelligence of God. And all of us have this, and all of us could access this should we desire. Now, when I say should we desire, what I mean is not flirting with it. I mean giving your entire life energy to the idea to be birthed through you. I don't mean like having a fun little hobby. I mean like sleeping, dreaming, eating, reading, talking, whatever it is that is the desire. And those of you who've been in the creative process know what I'm talking about. Here's an also really lovely clip from a podcast with Reverend Michael Beckwith and Billy Carson.
And when you show them the right way, like I say, the divine spark that created everything in the universe is imbued in every single atom which makes up my body. All the atoms in my body have been here since the beginning of creation. I'm just a stack of atoms. Atoms were stacked in a format to create this avatar. I'm like a giant Lego, right?
Right.
But there's divine energy flowing through every single electron and proton and neutron and nucleus that have created this avatar body. And this body is just a vessel to encapsulate temporally my spirit, which is only one spirit.
Right.
And so we are harnessing a spirit that's coming in on an angle. We're angels, right? We're angles.
Right.
And it's coming in on an angle, and it's inhabiting, the light is inhabiting this avatar for a moment in time and allowing us to maneuver around this third dimension. But we literally are just being broadcast here from higher dimensions.
Yes.
And our spirit literally is just a frequency. I'm 99.1, you're 99.2, but it's all coming from the same radio station.
Right.
And,
right.
That's why I try to tell people, like, look, you have to understand the power is in you already. Stop, hoping and wishing and begging. It's in you now. Just accept that and walk in that true power. And man, when I began to do that, the world just began to open up. Everything began to unfold right before my very eyes.
Wow. Okay, so the substance from which life is made is us. We are that substance. We are the substance that ideas come from. And how we connect with each other is through vibration. So what Tesla says is if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Now, those educators of you here in the room are familiar with Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences. When my daughter was in 5th grade, this book came out on multiple intelligences, and her 5th grade teacher loved this so much that he had a parents' night and taught us all about it and taught the kids that all of them have a different kind of intelligence that shows up through them in a different way. And so we have linguistics intelligence and visual, spatial, musical, interpersonal, intrapersonal, logical, kinesthetic, and naturalistic kinds of intelligences. So what this tells me is that genius comes in all forms. And I used to have a minister colleague and a prayer partner, and we called those who were geniuses the 2%. Maybe it's 6%, I don't know, we just made it up. We called it the 2%, and we always said we want our friends to be the 2%. Like, we're interested in being around people who love their life so much that they have dedicated it to something bigger than themselves and are living it out, whatever form of this that it takes. And my friend, my minister colleague, trained equestrians to go to the Olympics. She was a horse gal, and she was everything horse. Everything horse. And so she worked with the 2% because she trained them to go to the Olympics. So here's the rules of the field. Here's the second rule. To ripen yourself, make yourself available, you give your undivided attention to that aspect of you that is curious through contemplation, study, and asking questions. And I remember the day that I sat in my prayer chair, was probably 15 years ago, and I said to myself, am I really willing to be what I called a God gal? Am I willing to embody the divine presence of God so I would walk down the street and people would point at me and say, there goes the God gal. There goes somebody who's prosperous. There goes someone who's loving. There goes someone who's connected to the divine presence. And it was so interesting to sit with myself in my prayer chair and ask if I was willing to throw myself 100%, totally and completely, into the field of God, because that would make me different than other people. And we have been trained so fully to be a part of a culture and not be different. And so this was very courageous when I sat in my prayer chair. And I made a commitment, and I said, I am willing to embody as much God, much of the divine as I possibly can for the benefit of humanity. I have traveled the world to study with healers. I have studied with the greatest metaphysicians, mystics. I've read thousands of books now on God. I have spent 3 years in silence and solitude, diving deep into my inner presence, and I have given myself fully to this divine path that I chose to be on. This is similar to what Bill Gates did with his drive to find software. This is what my equestrian friend did in being prepared to prepare people to go to the Olympics. This is what a lot of healers that you and I go and see have dedicated their life and their being to, studying the mysteries of healing and how healing unfolds. And then my first job out of college was working at the Chamber of Commerce in Seattle. And so I hung out with all of the entrepreneurs, which I loved. And I was there right when Howard Schultz started Starbucks. It had already been started, it had already existed in Seattle, but he had gone to Europe and had a vision of having a coffee shop in every single neighborhood that would be what he called the third place, where people could go and gather and have a really good cup of coffee. And I went to one of his very first talks he ever gave, sharing his vision of this coffee world that he had. And this was back, that you guys remember, in the day that the only place you could get coffee at was Denny's. And it was like Maxwell House or something, and it was brewed in a, and he really believed that people would enjoy good coffee. And so he spoke of this vision, and enough people supported him in this vision that it came to fruition, which is just lovely. So I want to talk a little bit about genius before we end. This is Dr. John DeMartini. Our reading today, thank you, Diane, was from him and from one of his blogs. And when I think about genius, I think about Dr. John DeMartini, because he had a school where he taught people how to access and become more of their genius. And he talks a lot about how our adversity is actually what ends up being our greatest gift, because it pushes us into being a better self. So when he was a young kid, he was dyslexic. He had a difficult time learning. He was told by his grade school teacher to his parents, with him listening, that he would never amount to anything. So he dropped out of school at age 13 and lived on the streets. He lives on the streets in Texas, California, and then Hawaii. He fell in love with Hawaii, so he took a flight over there, lived on the beach in a tent in Hawaii. And while he was there, he drank, not on purpose, but some poison, some strychnine, some cyanide, whatever it was, and his limbs got affected. He couldn't move them, and he was stuck sweating with a high temperature in a tent on the beach in Hawaii. Some very kind woman, and I love these stories where someone is kind walks by. Some kind woman walked by and saw him and said, "Let me take you to the nearest health food store where they do yoga. Yoga would be good for you." So she puts him in her car. Now, this was like the 1970s, 60s, 70s. She puts him in her car, drives him to the health food store where Paul Braggs, the founder of all health food stores and the founder of that cider vinegar, Paul Braggs was speaking and teaching yoga. So he does yoga and he starts feeling better and learns that Paul Braggs is going to be doing for the next 2 weeks yoga on the other side of the island. So he hitchhikes, gets rides every single day to the other side of the island in order to do yoga. So he's doing yoga, and one day Paul leads them in a meditation. And in this meditation, he has them see their future. He sees his future as a dyslexic, homeless child living on the beach in Hawaii. He sees himself speaking to millions of people about truth. And his whole body vibrated and he got really excited. But this idea for this man didn't seem compatible. He goes up to Paul Braggs afterwards and says, "This is what I saw. Could it be real? Could it be real?" And he said, "This is what I want you to do. I want you to say this every single day of your life." And he's now in his mid-70s and still says this every day of his life. "I am a genius and I apply my wisdom." Now, says Paul, never miss a day for the rest of your life, and someday the cells of your body will tingle with it, and so will the world. Okay? So Dr. John DeMartini goes, well, he's not a doctor at that point, he's a kid. He goes home and he says to his mom, "I have to learn how to read." And he goes to a community college and he can't. He is so dyslexic that he's not able to read and pass classes. So he says to his mom, "I want to memorize the dictionary." And he says, "Every single day I want to learn 10 new words. I'm going to write them on flashcards." And she goes, "Great, son, I'll quiz you." And for years, he memorized words, what they looked like, and their meanings from the dictionary. He memorized the entire dictionary. And then he was able to pass a test and get into Wharton School. He's in Wharton one day, and he is teaching, he's coaching, he's helping the other students with the test that's coming up. Now, mind you, this is somebody who couldn't even read. He is now sitting there a few years later, guiding other students in how to pass a test. And he hears one of the students shake their head and say, "Oh my God, that DeMartini is a genius." And he said just what Paul had said, his cells would tingle. And Dr. John DeMartini is one of my favorite spiritual teachers on this planet. Absolutely love this man. And he has now taught in almost every country in the world. And he works with country leaders and he works with individuals to teach them about this substance that they are made out of that is the same as the ideas. And what he says that's lovely is you can't study geniuses without getting genius all over you. So think about that when you're binge watching. Just saying. Okay. So this is what he says about geniuses. He says how geniuses are different is they listen to the vision and the voice from within and follow it. The inner vision and the inner voice is louder than the external voice. So for the rest of this month, I am going to be sharing with you inventors and their stories. Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith says it's visionaries, it's innovators, and it is artists that are on the cutting edge of the shifts on this planet. And so we are going to join in on looking at these inventors and see if we can't get some of their energy all over us. So how do we cultivate hearing our inner voice? It's through meditation. So let's go ahead and meditate together. And let's bring our attention down to our breath. Let's feel the breath breathing our body. And all religions call the breath the Holy Spirit or God, one of the two. It is the life energy, the life force that breathes us. It is that energy that leaves with us when we leave the body and lives through us while we're here on planet Earth. And so with our attention on our breath, let's just allow that breath to take up more room inside of our body temple. To feel that energy bumping up against our skin on the inside. And now let's allow our energy just to go just a little bit beyond our skin. To feel the beginning of our auric field. Our own invisible energy self. And then let's allow our internal energy to go all the way out and feel the edges of our field. And with our consciousness, let's just drop a little drop of divine love into this mix, knowing that it's already there, but to expand the love. And now allow that field to bump into your neighbors, to make it through them and all the way to the edges of the center. Notice that if there's any lingering kind of energy pockets in this center that are needing transformation, it happens naturally. We don't need to do a thing. Recognizing and knowing if there's anyone here at the center that is depleted of energy, that this meditation allows them to become filled with the light, with the breath, with the wholeness of God that they are. And now let's just allow that energy to expand all the way down 29th to downtown, around Spokane, around Washington State, throughout the United States. And we don't even have to know what happens by us doing this, but what I can tell you is that it will lift someone's day today who has no idea how it happened. And it will shift someone's energy who feels lonely and realizes they're not alone. The energy that we send out is so potent that it just does wonderful things without instruction, and now we bring it back. We're going to bring it back to Washington State and back to Spokane and 29th Street and back into the center. And I can feel the presence of those of you online so potently. Thank you for playing and participating with us in this meditation. And we bring it back into our own auric field and just allow it to feed us. We've taken a little journey. We've gathered some incredible love light and just allow it to feed us and come back into our temple. And now we place our attention just back on our breath, watching it breathe us, giving thanks that we are still in body. And so I close with a prayer. I just give thanks that all there is God. All there is good. All there is this invisible energetic field that slows down long enough that we can actually see it as a physical presence. And so I give thanks for all of the energy, all of the forms, all of the good, all of the God. And I just know that any question we have can be answered in this divine field. I know that if we are ripe and desirous of midwifing an idea, that it is given permission to come through us. So I just celebrate and give thanks that we are part of a center that allows us to study the metaphysics and the mystics of being alive, being present, and being a being from and of the only thing that is spirit. And so for this I give thanks, and for each one of us here and each one of us online, I particularly give thanks. And so it is. Amen.
Imagination is crazy. Your whole perspective gets hazy. Start you asking the daisy what to do, what to do. Have you ever felt a gentle touch and then a kiss and then for it's only your imagination. Oh, imagination is silly. You go around all willy-nilly. For example, I go around missing you. And yet I can't imagine
Wow, there's some genius amongst us today, I'd say. Thank you, thank you. How delightful. And I think last week when I wasn't here, it was announced that Janice is our new choir director and Scott, our new music director. So I'm thrilled with both of those choices. This is so exciting because our center has such beautiful music and we have such stellar people to be our leaders in that arena. So now's our time for our gifts and our offerings. So let's go ahead. What I love about this part of the service is that we're actually giving back to ourselves. First of all, God gives to us, and then we re-gift back to ourselves that more of this kind of teaching could be available on our planet. And in the midst of all of the shifts and changes, it's so nice to know that there is, what did Reverend Michael's guest say, like a 92.1 that people can tune into, and it's us. So thank all of you for your magnanimous giving, those of you online and those of you here. And if you would please take your gift, put it in your hands, put it over your heart. Many of you give directly through your bank account, which we're also grateful for. And repeat or say along with me, I know that my giving blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give and receive. I give thanks for the abundance that is mine to share. right, who wants to jump up here and pray with me? Quick. Who's a jumper? Come on, I see more than one is fine. We can have more than one prayer, Jeff, Tawny. Just saying. All right, all of us together with our open, unzipped hearts filled with joy and smiles. Thank you, guys. It just made my day. Let's just go ahead and place our hands out if we can and just bless this money energetically. Knowing that, as Tesla said, if we want to know the secret of life, let's look at energy, and money is one of its many forms. So I give thanks for everything that was given today and everything that is continuing to come our way. For I know that we are a divine idea in the mind of God unfolding, and I know that it is always 100% funded. And so I bless this money. I bless everyone who gifted it, and I know that those who gifted it are made more whole, full, and abundant through the act of giving. And so I just bless it all, the gift, the giver, and the divine idea unfolding. I call my life good, I call our lives good, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Bonnie, for the very inspirational message today. I loved it. I hope everyone loved it too. And I don't really know what to say about this group here, but I want to tell you something. They transported me someplace I don't think I've ever been, and that's true. That's true inspiration. Thank you, guys, very much. Oh, I guess I was hitting the microphone. That's why I'm not them, I'm me, but I like me. So, all right, this is one of my favorite parts, as Sally taught me. This is really nice. So let's all say this unity statement together. Unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, for we know that there is only one power, one presence, and one life. So whoever you are, wherever you are today on your transformational journey, we want you to know that you are truly welcome here. And that goes for everybody that's online right now, because you're with us in spirit. We feel you, we know you're there, we appreciate you, we love you, and keep tuning in. Is there anyone here for the first time today? Is there anybody lucky enough to be here for the first time? All right, welcome. We're very, very happy to have you here. And we'd like to offer you, as a first-time person, a free drink of your choice at the barista stand. So, for those of you here, as well as those joining us online and new to our ministry, we encourage you to sign up for our e-news to learn more about our upcoming workshops, events, classes, and you can sign up by hitting that QR code and on the screen, and it's also around the center, and you can also find it on our website, unityspokane.org. We would also like to connect with you on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Just search Unity Spiritual Center Spokane to find us. And thank you all for being here today. Your presence here makes a huge difference in this center, and we appreciate it, and we love you for being here. Our chaplains today are Diane, the adorable one, and Murphy. She's also adorable. And they both, thank you both. Thank you all to all the chaplains. They've been holding the service in prayer for us the entire time. And Murphy will be available up front after the service if you have something that may be heavy on your heart that you want to unload, you want to talk in private with someone, or a joy that you would like to share. We really appreciate the service that you do. And those prayers, and we'd like to encourage anyone who's also in need of prayer to support prayer support to fill out a prayer request that's in the pocket in front of you, and you can place it in the, one of two prayer boxes. There's one up here, there's one in the atrium. They will be prayed on for 30 days by our chaplains and also 30 days at Silent Unity. And now, the fabulous and also adorable Amber McKenzie with news you can use.
Oh, stop. Yeah, standing ovation. Oh, no. Yeah, it was kind of sad. It's okay. I know you love me. Okay, we have a lot to get through, so let's get to it. First of all, today is the first Sunday of the month, which means it is Board Listener Sunday. B-O-A-R-D, not B-R-E-D. B-O-R-E-D. Oh my gosh, I can't even spell. So this is the Sunday where a board member, who is it? Oh, yay. Oh, it's Karen. Good. So Karen will be in the library, right, Karen? Yes. After services, right after services. So as soon as we're done here, if you have something that you want to share with the board, then please go talk to Karen. And then right after that, guess what? We're having a board bylaws update. And this is a bylaws conversation. So that'll be, what, like 15 minutes after services is over-ish? That'll be back here in the sanctuary. Is that right? Yeah. So come back here to have that conversation, and then there will be another one on August 13th, and then the vote will be on August 27th. So all that information is also in e-news. We also have volunteer opportunity at Unity in the Community this next Saturday, August 12th. That's at Riverfront Park. The event, I think, is like from 10 to 6 or something, but there's 2-hour shifts that you can sign up for, and I think there's 1 or 2 shifts that Shalon said are really in need. Is Shalon here? Shalon, are you here? What's that? Oh, okay. So if you see Shalon after services, maybe find out what the need is, and then sign up for that through her. So that'll be a super fun event, and we'll have a Unity booth there, obviously. And then we've got another midday meditation coming up on August 8th. That will be the final one for this series. Is that right, Reverend Bonnie? Yeah. So that's noon to 12:45 in person in the chapel here, August 8th. We have the Spokane Indians game. That's actually this Thursday. Who's going? Okay, we need a few more. We need a bigger section. So if you're interested in going, we have tickets through e-news. I can also help you. It starts at 6:30, and it's only $8.80 total. Is somebody whistling? Somebody trying to get my attention? Or is that a phone? Okay, sorry. I was hoping it wasn't. I wasn't wrong with this one. So that's going to be really fun. Families, please encourage families, grandkids, kids, whatever. Everyone is invited, and hopefully we'll see you there. We have another class, Soul Collage class, that is August 11th, 6 to 8, $40, must sign up. New member orientation is next Sunday, right after services at 11:30, and that will be in the chapel. So if you're new to Unity and you'd like to learn more about what we're about, our principles, how to become a member, that would be the place to go. And it'll be half hour, 11:30 to noon, so we hope to see you there. Hot August nights are coming up, Saturday, August 26th, 5 to 7:30. That's right here in the Unity parking lot. Super fun. So we do ask that you sign up for that so that we know what food is needed. But you can do all that through e-news, or come see me or Deanna, and we can sign you up for that. And please bring your family. We have the Sacred Sisters Retreat, Reverend Bonnie, and it looks like Gay Ribble and one other person I'm not familiar with, will be leading that, and it will be at the Unity Center of Divine Love and Light up north. That is on August 31st from 10 to 4, and it will be $95, very good price. So it sounds like an amazing day-long retreat. So please sign up for that using that QR code, and that will also be in e-news. And now I'd like to invite Dave Ribble up to share about the Spokane Success Stories series. Oh, gosh.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, gosh.
Good morning. So I wrote down a few things. When we started with the chaplain prayer request and remarks, thank you, I wrote down some words that came up. Unique, deeply meaning for you, inspirational, somebody who has perseverance, who was willing to awaken your own genius, authentic. Reverend Bonnie talked about curious, and there were so many words and so many great things that were coming out of just everything coming. Did it come together? Did it come together for you? And then, Heather sings Pure Imagination. I'm going crazy. Anyway, I just wanted to point this out. It is a steal of a century, really, because you get all 4 of these things for this, $50. And it's 4 wonderful people who decided to do something. And the way I describe it is that I'm going to have the privilege of interviewing them and asking them this question: what got you off the couch to go do this thing you did? And I think it's going to be inspirational for the rest of us. So I am up here just to encourage you to please get the tickets, tell your friends. All of them are also sending the same flyer out. So I don't know how many people we're going to get. Get your tickets while you can. Thanks. Friday, it starts on the 8th. So it's the last 4 Fridays in September. So it's the 8th and the 15th and the 22nd, 29th. Okay? Please come.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Our kids have been patiently or impatiently waiting. So let's bring them in by singing "We Are Walking in the Light."
We are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. We are walking in the light, in the light of God.
In the light, 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 in the light of God. We are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. We are walking in the light, in the light of God.
In the light of God.
All right, welcome kids and people who work with kids. We are so blessed to have you here today and blessed to have such an amazing youth ministry here at Unity Spiritual Center. And guess what Sunday it is, kids? It's Birthday Sunday. So would everybody that actually has a birthday in August, would you stand so we can honor you by singing? Oh, our song leader. All right. All right, here we go. Do you know the song?
Happy birthday?
Yeah, well, it's a different happy birthday.
Oh, sure.
All right, here we go. Ready? Happy birthday, we love you. Happy birthday, and may all your dreams come true. When you blow out the candle, one light stays aglow. It's the love light in your heart wherever you go. Happy birthday. Thanks, guys. All right, here we go. Warm your hands up. Let's bless. Oh, oh, I'm sorry. I forgot there's another announcement.
Okay, well, this week we all know is, if you've been keeping up with the news, it's kids camp, right? So one of the things that we want to do as a community is support the kids during camp. And the way that we can do that is we can support them with our energy and our prayers. So what the kids have done is we put together some cards, and I'm just going to shuffle them up here. And these cards basically represent one of the 12 powers of unity. So the kids are going to be in the back, strategically stationed at the end of each row. And as you leave, pick a card, any card, take that card home, and hold that energy, pray that prayer for the children this week at Kids Camp.
All right. All right, here we go. So, at this point, if you would please stand if you're able and join for our closing prayer for protection, followed by the peace song.
Be the love you are, though. We have to,
Please stand.
the kids first. Be the love.
Oh, did we forget? Oh,
Kids.
I'm sorry.
We got love on these babies.
Too many things going on today. It's driving me crazy. All right, here we go. Be the love you are. Sing the song you hear. Share your joy of life. with people far and near. And for us, sing the song we are, sing the song we hear, share our joy of life with people far and near. All right, now you can stand up. Here we go. I'm back on the script. Together we affirm, the light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. Wherever we go. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And that's the truth.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.